You are now listening to the Going North podcast, where you'll receive tips and techniques to advance yourself. I'm your host, Dom Brightman, and every week we're going to be hearing from an author who's going to share their expertise to help you charge forward in life. On a quick side note, be sure to check out Going North the book. It's available in ebook, audio, as well as paperback form for those who love to read a traditional book. Now let's get on with the show. Another round of gratitude, baby, and this time the lucky name is Mark Greatness Hunter, baby. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The wonderful thing about Toastmasters is that you get to meet wonderful humans from across the globe that are all about professional development and bettering themselves, and this guy's no different. Met a few years ago through Toastmasters, and the beautiful thing about it is he's a good guy who likes helping people and wants to make as many happy humans on the earth as possible through his company, I Am Greatness. He has his own t-shirt line, which is fabulous. I got 2 of them, and he's also an author of a book called The Greatness Manifesto. So head over to imgreatness.com, pick up a couple copies of that book as well, and heck, even check out his other business as well, a home improvement business called Hunter's Home Center, which is out in Rosedale, Maryland. In case you need some kitchen cabinets or any type of construction, any type of home remodeling, my man's got you covered, because greatness has a price. My man pays it every day by being the best that he can be, by always bettering himself and those around him. So thanks a bunch, Mark, for all that you do, man. Thanks a bunch for your support for book number 2, man. Can't wait till you release your second one, man. Looking forward to all the extra fabulosity that is to come. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you ordinary humans doing extraordinary things. And today's no different, because one of the most beautiful things about podcasting is that you get to connect with other wonderful people around the world doing awesome things. Because this gentleman right here is the founder of the Wolf Connection Sanctuary and the creator of Wolf Therapy, trademark. And it's a singular program that empowers individuals dealing with psychological and emotional pain, addiction, and trauma using the human-wolf bond. That's already interesting at the gate. And not only that, this wonderful person right here, he is also a transformational teacher, a shamanic practitioner, and he's also a 2-time TEDx speaker, as well as a member of the 100 Making a Difference, and he's been featured in the New York Times, LA Times, and other major media. And even makes it even more amazing that he was born in Argentina, but now he lives with his wonderful wife and daughter out in California. And for those who probably been living under 5 rocks, probably know who I'm talking about. But for those who do not, it's the one, the only Teo Alfero. How are you today, sir?
Well, that's a great introduction. Thank you, Don, for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. When he posted, sent out the press release and all that good stuff, I'm like, you know what? This is interesting. My man's communicating with wolves, and 33 of them, and still alive to tell the tale. Like, the heck, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of wagging tails. That's true. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Probably the king of the cuteness invasion, right?
Yep. Yeah. Man.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself, and mind filling in some things I may have missed with the introduction, because it sounds like a long journey from Argentina all the way to California, helping out the youth with wolf therapy.
Yeah, it was a long journey, and I think, that intro was very comprehensive. Yeah, I was, grew up in Argentina, regular Catholic upbringing, and from an early age, I was, interested in animals, and then went to the army, began helping kids, and came to the States to pursue the teachings of this shamanic teacher, an author, Carlos Castaneda, and that was brought me to the States. And then I wanted to apply all that good philosophy into a practical project, and Wolf Connection became that. And it totally fell in my lap because how do I say it? I never had starting a wolf sanctuary as in my vision board, if you know what I mean. It wasn't something that I was, yeah, you know what I mean. And it just kind of fell on my lap. I knew I wanted to make a bigger impact on the next generation and help kids at risk. And then I ended up rescuing, a little wolf dog puppy that needed help, looking for a playmate for the little pup. I ended up finding 16 wolves and wolf dogs from a hoarder facility that also were in dire need of assistance. Next thing I know, I'm putting some of the kids I was working with the wolves and start witnessing the magic and the miracle. And that was 10 years ago, and the rest is history, like they say.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. Instead of Teo Alfero, it's Teo, our hero, with a wolf hero, baby. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Well, and I gotta say many times I say, I'm doing this for the wolf, for the kids. I'm probably doing it for myself. I got so much out of working with these animals and rescuing these animals and helping the kids. My life has become so much richer and full of meaning and life and purpose. Sometimes I feel like I get tenfold back for everything I do here. This project brought me my wife and brought, the beautiful life that I have with my daughter as well. So, that's a lucky life.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I listened to one of your past interviews, and what was amazing is the fact that you mentioned that your wolves actually helped you to find your wife.
Well, right, yeah. My wife was one of my first volunteers. So when I started the project, I was single, and then one of the first 3 or 4 volunteers was Renee. She volunteered for about a year or so, and then we started dating, and then it was a 3 or 4 year process, but eventually we ended up getting married, and now our daughter is 4 years old, and we're having a beautiful life. And that was something I didn't know. It was in the cards for me. I didn't know if I ever was going to get married and have kids and that kind of thing. And I was so focused on creating this nonprofit and making an impact, and it was not in the horizon for me. And all of a sudden, just showed up.
Sounds like a testament to the power of just following your passion and doing something meaningful to help others in life, especially those who have gone through trauma. And it sounds like it's a really great thing that you're doing that, and you got so much out of it. Kind of inspiration to others.
Yep. And I gotta say, it's I like to say that I take credit for many things that I actually don't do, and the real heroes in this are the actual wolves. The ones, and I write about this. My book just came out a couple of days ago, released by a major publisher, Simon & Schuster, and in it I'm telling a bunch of stories. And ultimately, I see myself and my team as the translators or the facilitators of an interaction, of a dialogue that takes place, and more than the language level. And the wolves do the magicians there. They have a way to get people to slow down, to open their hearts, to trust, and to give life another chance.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And the beautiful part about it is you're able to document it in the book. So mind going deeper into what awaits those who pick up the Wolf Connection book?
What I did with the book is I presented the whole philosophy that was born as working with the wolves. And, most people, when they hear wolf, they think of the animal just hunting, hunting bison and deer, which is obviously accurate. But in addition to that, I refer in the book to the wolf in ancient mythology, the wolf as part of Native American rituals and traditions and ceremonies, the wolf as a almost like a political discussion in this country. I mean, it's many layers through which we can refer to wolves. So I'm bringing all that together, putting in one single salad, if you might, that we can, that can be discussed. And in the midst of that, you're looking at an encounter that all these at-risk youth have with the wolves that we have at the ranch. I can go into stories. I mean, one of the stories I'm talking about is a young man that was in foster care, and he was about to be locked up. What that means is that when a young person is violent and aggressive and cannot regulate and is a danger to self and others, they usually up the level of security around the placement. So this young man was about to get up to a higher level of security, and there was no treatment that was working for him. They brought him to Wolf Connection as a last chance, and then he began turning around really quickly. He bonded with a particular wolf. He felt identified with the wolf story, and then he began responding in a way that he began self-regulating and doing his chores and getting up in the morning, things that for you and I may be commonplace, for him were achievements for him. And then he began applying coping skills and beginning to regulate his anger, and beginning to walk away from fights, beginning to all the things that he couldn't accomplish in any other way, this particular wolf helped him accomplish. And then what he did, this was a violent kid, and eventually I trusted him. I really bonded with him, and so I taught him how to use tools, and we started repairing the wolf houses together and the chain link fencing and doing, cutting some trails to go hiking, wonderful young man. So eventually he asked his caretakers to buy him a little tool belt. So with a hammer and some pliers and a screwdriver and basic tools, and he began walking around the group home where he lived, fixing the stuff that he used to break. He used to go around the house, throwing things out the window, kicking, putting holes on the walls and punching doors and stuff. And now he was retrieving his tracks and fixing all the stuff. And he went on to, after this experience, we remained in touch. I became a mentor of his over the years. And by the time he graduated high school, he was the president of the student council. He was dating. He with plans to study criminal justice and become a police officer. I mean, his life was a complete 180-degree turn based on the bond that he developed with a wolf. So I have many stories like this. I mean, it's really magical what takes place.
Yes, indeed, a magical transformation is from basically destroying property to fixing up properties.
Yep.
Yes, indeed, a complete life transformation. That's really a good thing that you're doing, because especially nowadays where folks are so depressed and they're beaten down by life, they never had a positive influence, or they never had a kind word, or heck, they may not even had a pet or a positive experience with any animal. And then we just have this wonderful area for where kids especially can connect with animals, and especially the wolves of all animals, and actually just even become more human. So that's an amazing thing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and look, for a lot of us, it's very difficult to deal with other people. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So it's especially people with emotional and psychological trauma. Just being in the presence of other people that can trigger that trauma, it's extremely challenging. Animals, on the other hand, can easily recreate that as a safe space. There is no words. It's all about the feeling. It's all about the trust. It's all about the healing. And the wolf in particular, science is beginning to, I'm talking about this in the book, science is beginning to suggest and confirm what some indigenous traditions have been talking about for many years, for millennia, which is the wolf is the first animal we ever associated with. It's an animal that has, according to tradition and now science, we used to literally run with wolves for perhaps tens of thousands of years. We migrated with wolves, we hunted with wolves, we helped each other at times of climate, through the last ice age. And so some scientists believe that our relationship with wolves is recorded in our genetic memory. So what I believe is that when these young people come in touch with the wolves at the ranch, at Wolf Connection Ranch, this memory gets activated and the healing begins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's just great that animals just have that power. I even had a guest a while back, Helen Brennan, who actually has a place where they do equine therapy. So it's kind of amazing the fact that animals do have that power to actually, I guess in a way it's kind of a good thing they don't speak our languages with the thousands of words. So that way they can say something to trigger something to pass, like you mentioned earlier, just the presence of like that negative person from the past just opening up the door of like Pandora's box in a way.
Yeah, they speak. I mean, they speak the universal language, which is the language of emotion and feeling, and the language of direct energy. And so at that level, there's less conflict than at the socialized level of language. And you're mentioning equine therapy. That's the horse is the second animal that we have the longest history with. So, it's very powerful as well.
So I'm pretty sure there have been books that have inspired you to write your own. Mind naming a title or two that has inspired you to take the plunge and become an author yourself?
Yeah, that was an interesting. I never saw myself as a writer. I've been a good storyteller over the years. I'm confident telling stories, but writing not so much. Especially, English is my second language, and this was a story that deserved to be told. The philosophy, the creation of the organization, because it has many, many layers that can, I hope, can inspire people, can help people pursue their dreams, whatever they are, and then also give people hope in the midst of a lot of craziness that we're living these days.
Sweet. And has there been any particular author or book title that you may have used as maybe as a foundation for crafting your story in your book?
Well, I love to read, so it's a lot of good reads that inspired me over the years. I mentioned earlier the writings of Carlos Castaneda. He was a anthropologist and shamanic student, and he wrote 12 beautiful books on his apprenticeship with a Mexican shaman. And what I was aspired to do with my book was something that I experienced with his books, which is when I read those books, there was a transmission in the book that was beyond the language. It's almost, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but sometimes, that special book that we read the words and they make sense in our minds, but then they do something to us. They affect us at a much more profound level. And I was hoping to create that effect. I hope I did. I mean, time will tell, and the readers will be the judges of that. But so, The Art of Dreaming or The Active Side of Infinity by Carlos Castaneda are really books that I recommend. I like to read Joseph Campbell, The Hero of a Thousand Faces, or The Hero's Journey. Those are great books. Those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Sweet. And the beautiful thing is, this isn't a one and done. Looks like you got 3 more books in the wings coming out over the next couple of years.
On the hopper, yeah. I'm already began with the second one, and I think probably one every 2-3 years over the next decade. That's probably going to be the rhythm. Like I said before, I didn't see myself as a writer, but now the process of writing the first one was really inspiring for me, and I think I got the bug now. So I'll continue writing as long as people continue reading.
Ah, beautiful indeed. So a question I like to ask every guest, and that is, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2019, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would say don't sweat it too much. Everything is going to be okay. And beyond that, looking back, I now know that I've been held and guided in ways that I did not know or realize at the time, and I could not anticipate. So many times we put too much pressure on ourselves to have to know what to do, have to know the path, know the right decision. And it's a lot of pressure to know what to do, and the truth is that most of the time we don't. And so what I said to myself is that trust that you're held, you're protected, you're guided in ways that will be conducive to a great life.
Woohoo! And a great life indeed it will be, yes indeed. Definitely going to put all of your contact info in the show notes. So any parting words for our wonderful listeners?
Well, thank you for listening, and I hope they consider checking out our website, checking out Wolf Connection. Wolf Connection is a nonprofit organization, so it exists thanks to people like you, people like your listeners that care, that want to get involved. So go check the project out and get involved.
Hey there, you superstar. Thanks a bunch for making it this far in the podcast. Hope you really enjoyed it. Heck, if you made it this far, that means you really enjoyed it. Be sure to shoot the guest an email or head over to the social media pages and leave them a nice response that you heard them on the Going North podcast, so that way they can continue to be inspired to do great things. And be sure to share this podcast with others that you think would enjoy it as well, because we want to inspire as many people as possible to live their dreams, embrace them, and to do something positive.